Hey everybody, it's me, Paul, with Reporting Live from my sofa. How is everybody doing out there today? I am doing wonderful. Thank you everybody for the wonderful birthday wishes. I greatly appreciate this. I am filming this on the day after my birthday, and I had a nice little after my birthday lunch today at Moe's. It was awesome. But again, thank you everybody for your warm wishes. I really appreciate it. Now, before we get started, don't forget we've got the new podcast up. It's awesome. It's Michael Jones Jr. episode 4 in the Family Annihilators series. Awen and I had an amazing conversation on that, so check it out. The links are down in the description. Now, y'all, last night in our live chat, we were talking about the Seavers verdict. One of you, I think it was Alicia, I'm not sure, but claim your fame, because I do appreciate it, mentioned the name of this trial, and they were like, I haven't seen much on it, You know, the verdict just came in on a couple of days ago, whatever. So today I was like, let me go look this up, and I went down this rabbit hole, and I was like, I have to make a video on this. I have to make a video on this. So we are going to be talking today about the case of Tiffany Li. Now, there's other people involved that we will get into, but she was a California real estate heiress, money, and she was just acquitted of some serious charges. But the story behind it is very interesting, and it's left me saying, okay, she might be not guilty in court, but did she do it? So I'm curious to see what y'all think. Do you think she did it? Have you heard of this trial, this case, etc.? You know, drop in the comments and let me know. So without further ado, let's go ahead and review. Okay, so again, we're going to be discussing the case of Tiffany Li. She is a California real estate heiress. Her parents amassed millions of dollars in China from real estate ventures. Now, they expanded their business here in the United States, and they continued to amass millions of dollars. This case took place in Hillsborough, California. Cha-ching! Money! Okay, now, Li was accused of murdering her ex-boyfriend, the then 27-year-old Keith Green. And this was over, the state's alleging this was over a big custody dispute. Her case drew national attention when she posted one of almost the highest bails ever and over here in the United States. $66 million bail in 2017, y'all. I mean, just do the math on that. Now, her bail was originally set at $35 million. Even that, it's like, are you kidding? So she sat in jail for like a year, and eventually, like, a bunch of her friends, family, business associates, all these people, they got together and they put a package together. Now, that consisted of like $4 million in cash and then like $62 million in properties as collateral. Now, what happened is, because she used property as like a main chunk of her bail, they had to end up paying like twice what it was. So that's why it went from like 35 to 66, somewhere in there. So, but regardless, she was able to bail out on that. And of course, you already know. I mean, that's going to be all over the place. That is some serious money. Now, like I said, she was just acquitted of the charges against her. The jury deliberated for 12 days. 12 days. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we here at the Sofa Squad were following that when it was going on, the 12 days? We would be a nervous wreck. I'm sure she was. I'm sure the victims' families were. Also, there's other people involved. Like I said, her boyfriend, who is 32-year-old, and I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I'm probably going to butcher it. Kaveh Bayat. We're going to call him KB because I don't want to keep butchering his name through this. KB's trial ended in a hung jury. It was split down the middle, 6-6, and so the judge kind of had to say, you know what, it is what it is. Back to the drawing board with him. Now, he still remains in jail. Now, the children that allegedly this whole case was over, they've been looked after by Lee's parents as well as Green's parents, the victim's parents, during this whole process. Now, let's start looking into like what the state is saying, what the defense is saying, like how we arrived here. So the state is saying that this was an elaborate plan. It was orchestrated by Lee, her boyfriend KB, and the third person in this case, who is Olivier Adela. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong again. We're going to call him Adela. just so I don't butcher his name either, because I feel bad when I do that. Now, he was her personal trainer bodyguard. Now, the defense says, no, that's not it at all, y'all. Not at all. You got the story wrong. This was a kidnapping orchestrated alone by the bodyguard, Adela, and it went terribly wrong. And when the murder happened and all that, which Adela is the one who did it, all the suspicion, of course, went to the girlfriend and her boyfriend at the time. So that combined with conflicting evidence, the defense is like, no, they are not guilty. Let's look even deeper into what the prosecution is alleging. So the state's saying that on April 28th, 2016, Li lured Green to, first of all, they met in a restaurant parking lot, and then she lured him to her mansion in Hillsborough, California, and they were going to discuss this ongoing child custody case. But once they got there, her current boyfriend, her co-defendant, fatally shot him in the head, execution style, in the garage at the mansion. Then they are saying that they loaded the body up in her G-Wagon, took it to Adela, and he then took the body, the remains, and dumped the body on the side of a dirt road somewhere, which is where the remains were discovered a couple of weeks later. Now, investigators also said during this time when all this went down that Li was like, yeah, we met at the restaurant, and yeah, we talked about this for an hour, and then he left, and that was that. But they're like, no, cell phone records show that y'all both went back to your house. So there's that. Now, when we get into some of the evidence that was presented about, okay, so what's up with the custody thing? The heart of it is the state is saying that Li was basically pissed off because she was like, look, all he cares about is the money. And text messages do show that Green at the time, he wanted her new BMW. He wanted $4,000 a month, and he wanted $20,000 or so to put towards furniture. And essentially, he was trying to be like, look, our kids are used to living a certain life when they're with you. That needs to be recreated to the best that it can be when they're with me. So she was essentially telling friends, look, all he cares about is money. He doesn't care about these kids. It's not about them. So on and so forth. I can understand if that is true. Obviously, it doesn't mean, okay, let's kill somebody. But anyone's going to be, kind of pissy over that. Now, this was a really fast and furious relationship. They met in 2009, and they moved in together really quickly. And Green moved in with Li at her family mansion, like I said, in Hillsborough, California. And she was paying, obviously for his living expenses and stuff, but also for him to go to culinary school, which was very expensive, the tuition. And she was essentially trying to, jumpstart him into a career. Probably owning restaurants. I mean, they had so much money, they could probably do what they wanted to. So they ended up having 2 kids before they broke up, 2 daughters, and they're now 7 and 5. So at some point during their relationship, Li starts having an affair with her current boyfriend, her co-defendant KB. And that's what led to the separation and all that happening. Now, as I said before, there is another third person involved in this very complicated case. So Olivier Adela, again, this is Tiffany's bodyguard, her trainer, claimed that KB tried to recruit him, tried to get him to kill Green for $50,000. And then essentially he was just like, no, absolutely not. Are you crazy? I'm not doing that. But he ends up getting pulled into the murder later on anyways. So he claimed that after the killing took place, that Li and KB drove the body in her G-Wagon over to his place, and that he then put the body into the Chrysler, his Chrysler. And then that's when he drove over the Golden State Bridge. There's evidence showing him doing this, going to the dump site where he put Green's body. Now, he said he only agreed to do this after they agreed to pay him thousands of dollars in cash, and essentially it was to take the trash out. So that was there. Now, in the investigation, they end up finding $35,000 in cash, as well as Green's watch in a lunchbox in KB's place. So, several $1,000s and $35,000. First of all, that's $15,000 less than the 50 that you were allegedly, scouted to pay off. And the watch is there. So that's looking really dicey. I mean, that's a lot of money to pay someone to just dispose of the body. So there's that. Keep that part in mind. Now, originally, Adela had a deal with the state. He was going to be the star witness of this case and testify against them in this. And so you can imagine what that would have done. Well, he went and he broke the contract that he has with the state by contacting a defense witness via Instagram. So the state's like, done, your deal's off the table. And even in interviews after they lost the case, the state stood by their decision not to use him. They're like, he is completely unreliable. We are glad we did not use him. We would not use him again for this. And there's more to come with his story. We'll get there in a second. But the state stood by that. Also, some other points of interest that came up were the defense presented expert witnesses that showed that Green's blood was not found in the back of this G-Wagon or in the garage the way the state claimed. However, blood was found inside of the trunk in Adela's Chrysler, and he was recorded on those traffic cams going to the dump site, like I said. So with all of that, this is where the defense is saying, no, look, the evidence shows that Adela did this. There's evidence up one side and down the next that he did this, that this was a kidnapping gone wrong and he ended up killing the victim, and essentially this got blamed on the boyfriend girlfriend, and he was going to even testify against that, because really the defense is saying, look, they can't even get any concrete evidence to tie my clients to it. And again, with Adela not testifying and having that eyewitness testimony, it was probably extremely damaging to the case. Now, once the verdict was read in court, Green's mother, who was there for the trial, obviously this is very tough for her, and she told reporters afterwards, and this is in reference to Tiffany Li, she said, she's evil, she was evil to me, she was evil to my son, she was just evil. Now, the state did some interviews with this, and they're like, yeah, you know what, we messed this one up. And they said they're going to have to go back and look at this to see what they want to do from here. All of their evidence, everything, their storyline was all done in the context of Tiffany Li and KB did this. Now remember, like I said, Tiffany Li was acquitted, KB was a hung jury. So the state is now saying, the prosecutors are saying, well, we have to go back and look at the evidence that came out during this trial, because essentially they're saying, look, the jury clearly didn't 100% believe that both of them did it. They certainly didn't think that she did. She's done. She's free and clear. You know, we have to go see, can we present anything new in this case against the boyfriend? Do we even want to retry this? Now, he is still incarcerated in jail and will be until they figure out what they're going to do, I imagine. Now what they have to do is decide, are we going to come after Adela? Do we have the information with all this stuff that's come out during the trial to go ahead and charge him with the murder of Green and go after him for that? So it'll be very interesting to see how this continues. The storyline's not over yet. At the end of the day, I feel like this. Obviously, somebody killed this guy. Someone did it, you know. Now, does this mean that Tiffany Li was able to somehow, squirm out of the situation? I don't know. There's a lot to be seen. Again, we weren't able to follow this trial day by day. I hadn't even heard of it until somebody told me in the Sofa Squad live chat, and I was like, what? So I'm a little torn with a little bit that I've read on it, where I feel like, you know what, I have a hard time believing she didn't have some kind of working knowledge of this going on. I also find it very incriminating that Adela had $35,000 of cash, because essentially we know that her boyfriends, Green, unfortunately, he's gone, but KB, they didn't have that kind of cash. So my whole thing is, where'd that money come from? Does he have it like that, KB, to where he can just get that kind of money from her and she not notice? There's lots of questions that I have like that I'm going to be following this going forward to see if we can get answers to that. So I'm curious to hear what y'all think. Do you think she's guilty? Did you watch this trial? Do you think that Adela just did it on his own? Do you think it really was a kidnapping thing? Let me know down in the comments. Again, thank you for the birthday wishes. I greatly appreciate that and every one of you. And y'all, don't forget to listen to the podcast. The links and all that stuff is down in that description. Give it a try. See what you think. Let me know. I appreciate it. Y'all, I'll talk to you soon. Have a happy holiday, everybody. I'll talk to you on the flip side.